Hi, welcome to the Folk Arts Cafe. I'm Mark Dreesen. You know, here at the cafe each week we meet Canadians of different backgrounds and of different cultures and different lifestyles. And that's one of the things I think that makes Canada such a special place. And this week is no exception. From Winnipeg, we'll meet a couple of members of La Dansière de la Rivière Rouge and find out how they're bringing their arts and their culture to Winnipeg schools. From Regina, we'll talk with Hadley Castile. He's a Cajun fiddler who's keeping his culture and his tradition alive. But first from Saskatoon, Bonnie Braden talks with Kaneko Nakazaki, and she practices the ancient Japanese art of ikebana.
Kaneko Nakazaki recently left her Japanese homeland when her husband, an executive with the Hitachi Corporation, was transferred to Saskatoon. Kaneko had seen photographs of our vast country, but she'd never lived outside of Japan. She and her family made their home in Hitachi City, approximately the size of Saskatoon, located 150 kilometers northeast of Tokyo. Memories of home are dear, and she reminisces while she transforms flowers, seed pods, and greenery into striking Japanese flower arrangements.
The flower arranging that I'm doing is Ohararyu, and over half the population in Japan of flower arrangers in Japan follow this school of flower arranging. Otherwise, there are schools called Sogetsu and Ikenobo. In the Ohararyu school, the main characteristic is that within the flower arrangement, some feeling of a season is incorporated. The same goes for at Christmas time. They use Christmassy plants, flowers to make an arrangement. I have arranged these flowers to depict a Christmas setting. At the bottom here, I arranged this to look like snow. In Japan, we would use a Christmas tree setting and white lilies and poinsettias. For this arrangement, we substituted white carnations and orangish colored lilies, as poinsettias aren't available yet. There are three basic shapes within the school that I'm involved in, one of them being small arrangements, the second type being more flat and wide type of arrangements, and the third type being more long, tall type of arrangements. This is the main stem. The height of the main stem is the length of the container plus the height of the container added together. Next, I will put in the substem. The substem is yellow chrysanthemum. The yellow chrysanthemum is considered to be the most noble flower, particularly within the family of chrysanthemum flowers. This stem is about 1/3 the height of the main stem. This one is placed at an angle of about 80 degrees. From here on, flowers are placed in order to fill in and balance the arrangement. These red berries represent efforts that have been turned to good results. again, I plant these various stems in, thinking of the entire balance of the arrangement.
これは普通日本ではもう生を使うんですが、今日は手に入らなかったんで造花を使ってます。
Usually in Japan, I would use real lotus pods, but wasn't able to get any, so we're using artificial ones. In Japan, the purple color is a noble color, and so I use that in this arrangement as well.
Kuniko studied her craft for 10 years with Japanese hobby groups. Taking care not to waste anything, she uses the flowers left over from her arrangements for intricate pressed flower creations. She takes pleasure in the quest for balanced, uncluttered beauty.
The ideal of making an arrangement is to try to follow the rules and fit in with the structure as closely as possible. In terms of creativity, I guess, however you, I guess you would bring out a certain image through the structure, and that is pretty well the extent of the creativity.
You know, we often think of French-Canadian culture as something that's uniquely our own, but when French settlers first discovered Canada, they just didn't stop there. They moved right down through the United States into Louisiana. Their descendants are called Cajuns. And Cajun culture and Cajun tradition is something that's developed over the years. Hadley Castile is a Cajun fiddler from Louisiana who recently made a trip to Regina, and Jackie Honor had a chance to talk with him.
When we speak about Canadian ethnic groups or Canadian cultures, we assume that they originated with another country and the traditions were brought here to our country. We never really see Canada as having identities of its own. But Canada was the original home to a very special group of people, people who left this country for political reasons and settled in America, taking with them many Canadian traditions. We saw these traditions returned home when the Regina Francescois community played host to Hadley Castile, the swamp fiddler from Louisiana. Hadley explained the Cajun culture's origination in eastern Canada, formerly known as Acadia.
Cajun music, Jackie, began, of course, with the deportation of our ancestors to Louisiana in the 1700s. They're about 1750, 55 on it. And of course, we didn't have too much time to pick up the pianos, and we left in a hurry, So, arriving in Louisiana after the hard times and so forth, like any other ethnic groups that believes in having a good time, the Acadians, they were called then, were playing house dances with the two fiddles. And as time went on, they added the triangle, and later on in years, the guitar was added. But about the time of 1890, perhaps, the Germans brought an instrument into the Cajun country. And of course, the Cajuns loved it because it had a lot of power. Prior to that time, two fiddles in a fiddle, though, was not very loud. Of course, the accordion came in and they grabbed it and made good use of it. And of course, today with a Cajun band, the accordion is a staple item in Cajun. Of course, the fiddle. And the music has since changed. And in order for a culture to survive, Jackie, you have to allow for change. And of course, the music we're playing tonight is Cajun music. We're playing songs that go back 100 years. We're giving it a little bit of a different touch to appeal to the younger audience. And that way, you're pretty sure that it's going to survive.
Even though Hadley runs a business back in Louisiana, he has spent many of the last years preserving and promoting the Cajun culture.
I have dedicated the last probably 15 years of my free time to preserving the music. We have a very special place in our hearts about our music because it's part of our life. Our music, as you can see by the feeling on stage, it comes straight from the heart and the soul. And if we can't have that feeling, we just can't play it. Our first visit was to a little community of Context 9 years ago, and of course that started a series of trips back and forth, and we've made so many friends here with names that are so familiar to us in Louisiana. We feel like these people are our cousins, and they treat us like brothers and sisters, and so that's why we keep coming back. If you're not welcome in a place, you're not going to continue to come back. And we feel that we've been accepted so much over here, and of course the feeling is mutual because we have a lot of friends who have been visiting Louisiana, and we enjoy having them down there in Louisiana because they can see firsthand our way of life, our joy of living. I'll tell you a little bit about our French. We speak 16th and 17th century French. Our French has survived, largely to the fact that the Cajuns were sort of isolated in South Louisiana. Prior to World War II, the Cajun remained there in South Louisiana. We didn't care what the rest of the world was doing, you know. We were doing our own thing, but as the following World War II, the men went off to war and they came back, and they just wanted to live life to the fullest, you know. And of course, the fiddle those were going on 7 nights a week and on Sunday afternoons, and so then of course the coming of the oil industry brought in a lot of transit, and we were exposed to the rest of the country, and consequently, well, of course, it would have happened anyway, probably. But of course, the oil industry and the war had a lot to do with our culture being assimilated to a certain extent. Living in Louisiana is not all hard work and no play. We enjoy our free time, and it's centered around good time, love of God, the love of our country. We are Americans first, Jackie, and Cajuns second.
The Manitoba Arts Council has a program called Artists in the Schools, and that's where they get painters, sculptors, and musicians to visit schools and talk about their craft. Well, the folk arts is also included in this program. In Winnipeg, Sunita Maharaj Sandhu had a chance to talk to a couple of members of La Danse de Rivière Rouge.
Bonjour tout le monde. Moi, je m'appelle Ian.
Moi, je m'appelle Joanne.
Et puis nous autres, on danse avec les danseurs de la Rivière Rouge. So you know what our names are, and you know that we're with a group called Les Danseurs de la Rivière Rouge. And our group specializes in la danse canadienne-française, or French-Canadian folk dancing, and in particular la jig canadienne-française, French-Canadian jigging. And we'll explain more of that to you as we go along this morning. There's actually 3 different things that we'll be doing together today. To start off with, pour commencer, vous allez danser avec nous. Après ça, on va jouer les cuillères ensemble. Et après ça, Joanne puis moi, on va vous démontrer un peu de la gigue.
Ian Kirk and Joanne Noel have been members of the Danseurs de la Rivière Rouge for 8 years. Today, Ian and Joanne are teaching a group of grade 9 students at Arthur Leach School. They're using their knowledge of their folk art to create an understanding of what they love to do. This is the Artist in the Schools program at work. The program has been established to develop the arts education programs in Manitoba schools and allows students from kindergarten to grade 12 to be taught by professional artists. Joanne Albee is the head of the French department at Arthur Leach School, and I asked her why she thought of bringing the French-Canadian dance group to teach her students.
Well, to promote French culture so that the kids can go beyond the classroom and actually live the French language, get involved, hear the music, dance, so it's more real for them.
The Manitoba Arts Council promotes this idea and has set up the program. The Arts Council feels that all young people should be able to experience and participate in these programs because in all likelihood, these children could be the artists of the future. Presenting the idea to the school was no problem. Joanne had no resistance from Principal Doug Biggs.
We're very supportive. There's no question that it's very important to get the arts in front of the students, and we do have some money in the budget for those sorts of purposes, bringing artists into the schools. Our community is very ethnically mixed community, and we do try to do whatever we can to encourage all of them to be proud of their heritage.
I think the kids had a really good time. They enjoyed dancing and seeing the costumes and actually being able to live in another culture for an hour.
We give them an idea of a few social dances that are done in the French-Canadian culture. We give them an opportunity to play the spoons, which is an instrument that you hear in a lot of French-Canadian music. And then we give them a chance to see the French-Canadian jigging in performance, which is a little bit of a different aspect as well. You have to try and have fun with it. It's not teaching per se. We go in there and we take them away from their schoolwork for an hour, and that in itself is a relief to them. And so it allows them to open up a little bit more than perhaps they would be able to in their class. And at the same time, Joanne and I can be a little bit more lax than the school teacher can.
Placez vos cuillères sur le plancher. Merci beaucoup. Et puis écoutez, just listen for a moment. Qu'est-ce que ça ressemble? What does that sound like? En français. Oui, c'est ça. Mais notre cheval, il est vraiment fatigué.
Tired old horse.
C'est ça. Now, the spoons are a very traditional instrument that you hear in a lot of different kinds of music. French Canadians use them a lot. And it's probably the world's easiest instrument to learn how to play. And so we will do that.
I think they go in there pretty like skeptical, you know, I don't want to do this, you know, but they leave there, smiles on their faces, and they're playing the spoons, and they enjoy it.
Now, take the two spoons that you've got, prenez vos cuillères, place your spoons back to back like so, dos à dos. Take your index finger, votre doigt index, entre les deux cuillères, in between the two spoons, and the two spoons will fit into your hand thusly. If you put your thumb along the shaft of the spoon like this, it'll sort of keep it in place. There's two very important things that you should know about the spoons. First of all, on occasion, the spoons will do this. And when that occurs, they don't work very well.
Ian and Joanne are proud to be members of Le Danseur de la Rivière Rouge. They're also proud to share what they know about the French-Canadian culture to audiences and students.
That wasn't so bad anyways, you know?
That's it.
I had fun anyways.
A couple of the girls says, you know, that was okay.
The Artists in the Schools program brings together a vision and energy that is unique to each artist and then enhances the learning and creative potential of students. The program also provides an opportunity for performers and artists to get out and understand their communities.
We have personally I have a great time with it. It's a lot of fun. I get to meet a lot of people. I'm not stuck behind a desk doing boring paperwork or something like that.
It's great. It's a lot of fun. I believe strongly in my culture, and so I want to show it to other people. And doing it through the schools is a great way to do it. The kids will see it, and hopefully they'll enjoy it, and then they'll come learn how to do it too.
We'd like to know what you think. If you have any ideas or suggestions, please write to us at Folk Arts Cafe, Post Office Box 60, Winnipeg, Manitoba, R2M 4A5. Again, this week we've seen examples of how people take pride in their identity and also their culture. I think that's a very, very important thing because it makes Canada a very unique nation, and it makes the Folk Arts Cafe a unique place to be. And I hope you'll be with us again next week. I'm Mark Dreesen. Bye for now.